Hey, thanks for stopping by. This is Tom, and I'm down in my workshop, and this is Tom's Radio Room show. And the band conditions for shortwave are still kind of iffy, coming and going. It was cool enough this morning that I could, well, I take that back. I did leave a fan on. Let me turn this fan off. I was getting ready to say I didn't have to turn any fans or air conditioning on, but I did have a fan on because it's not quite that cool. It's about 75 degrees here in Florida with about 100% humidity. So it's almost getting down there where I can come down and work in my workshop with no fans or air conditioning on and be comfortable. Okay, so much for the weather report. What I was going to show you today is this is my old ICOM 706 GX, I think it is. It's the latest model of the 706. They came out with a series of this model. It's a transceiver for amateur radio work, I'll call it. Yeah, not work, communications. Yeah, that's a better word. And I got this many years ago. I think it hit the market in the late 1990s. And a friend of mine had one of these, and I really liked it. And he hooked me up with another friend that had one that kind of lost interest in amateur radio when he was selling it, so I picked it up. And it has a ton of features or options, whatever you want to call it. So much so that if you don't use this radio for, well, it depends on how old you are. In my case, if you don't use it for a week, you forget how to use it because there's not a lot of buttons. This is one of those radios where every button has 5 or 6 functions for that one button. And you'll notice there is no keypad, numeric keypad for dialing in things. So you have to do everything with pushing several times or pushing and holding or, picking your nose and pushing. You got all these things you have to remember. So today I'm not going to go over this radio because I've forgotten how to use it really. I've forgotten how to use it except for the basic things. And what I really wanted to show you this morning about this radio and your, I call it higher end transceivers for amateur radio work, is that they make or can make excellent receivers for just listening. And this has a connector. Where'd the connector go? Oh, it's in the back. It has a connector in the back for the mic so that you can transmit. Well, I haven't had a mic hooked up to this thing forever because I don't use it to transmit anymore. I just use it for receive, and it is an excellent receiver, especially if you can remember how to use all the options, because it's got filters. It's even got, let me see if I can bring it up, and maybe I can or can't. Let's see. Okay, I gotta push the display button to get in the G mode. And here is, and let me zoom in. It's not gonna show up very well this morning, but I'll try to zoom in. Where's my zoom button? Whoop, wrong way. There we go. Down here is a bar graph, I'll call it. It's a what they call a scope, which will scan a certain bandwidth and show you the signal level. Now, like I say, this morning you can't really see it because for some reason I'm getting a lot of noise, and I'm getting like an S9 level on almost the whole HF band. So this, I haven't figured out how to change the scale on this, so it's full. It's full. Everything's full scale, right? Because everything in this band, and the bandwidth is not very wide. It's only, I think, a maximum of 500 kilohertz. So it's pretty narrow. So if I push F3, I believe it is, it's actually scanning now and redrawing this screen, but as you can see, it never drops down below S9. So can't really show you how it works, because normally you'd see all this jagged graph depending on the signal level in that part of the spectrum that it's scanning. So that was one of the things that fascinated me. It's not that useful because it's so narrow, unlike your SDR dongles where you can, scan several megahertz, or depending on the dongle, you can scan a big portion of the band and get a good indication on your computer, which you got a nice big screen and high resolution. This is just, it's more of a gimmick than anything. Now they do have newer ICOM radios that have a big display, which then it's useful. But this is as you can see, a very small display. It's about, I'd say 4 inches across here diagonally. So it's not a big display. It's very easy to read, and it has a green backlight. I think the backlight color is changeable. Again, I don't remember. But what I wanted to show you, I think I said that a few minutes ago. Anyway, what I want to show you is how easy it is on this radio to tune single sideband. So let me turn the audio back up. Okay, right now I'm not on the right frequency. And this radio, you use this main tuning dial to tune in single sideband. So there's not a separate knob, there's not a separate BFO knob, you just use the main tuning dial. And I think I have this zoomed in enough that you can see what I'm talking about. So let me see if I can tune that station in.
Something had corrupted the modem, and then also we found out.
Okay, there he is. He's at 7.251, maybe 0. And the reason it was so easy to tune is that you can see over here how many decimal places you have when this thing is tuning. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decimal places to the right of the decimal point. And that's probably, I can't do the math in my head, it's probably 1 hertz maybe? Yeah, it's probably 1 hertz maybe. So this thing has really got fine tuning when you're in single sideband mode. Now when you go to just AM mode, it's not that higher resolution. That's the word I'm looking for, I think. But you saw that it took me a while to get to it because I was tuning at such a small increment. Watch the dial here.
And before I lose track of time, I need to go get my cell phone out. It's still in the charger, and so I got a clock in front of me.
So my point is, you can find one of the common failures on these radios, not just this one, but other ones like this, is operator error. And what I mean by operator error is that they transmit into no antenna, or an antenna that's not tuned properly for the frequency they're trying to transmit, and they blow out the finals, they call them, the final stages of the transmitter, and the transmitter doesn't work anymore. Well, this radio has some protection that if you do that, it tries to protect the radio, but if you do it over and over again, eventually it probably will fail. So you can find used radios like this use transceivers, transmitter and receiver in one unit, that has the transmitter section has failed, but the receiver section still works great, and you can get some real deals on these. You have to be very, very careful, because another failure mode is a lightning strike or something touching the antenna, and then the receiver front end gets damaged, and now you don't have a receiver. Or something you really have to watch for is the seller might say it receives fine. Well, what he really means, it receives fine for very strong stations, because there's still enough circuitry that's working that can pick up the signal, because these things are very sensitive. They can pick up very weak signals. That's another thing about this. If you're just so here I was showing you listening to an amateur band and listening to a sideband. Still, this radio is an excellent AM receiver for listening to international broadcast, and it's very selective as far as tuning out unwanted signals and stuff like that. Very sensitive as far as picking up weak signals, and has all kinds of adjustments you can make to the incoming signal, the audio, and things like that. So they make very good shortwave radios for listening, not only transmitting but listening. Now, another reason I bought this radio, because at the time I was into transmitting, is that it covers 3 amateur bands, and it covers, as far as reception, it covers outside of those bands. Now, let me see, I want to see if I can find the spec here on my computer of what bands it covers, and of course I lost the page. Oh boy, what a dummy. I lost the page that had the specs on it. Stand by while the dummy looks for the... It's not there. It's probably in the back. We need to look in the back of the document. The other thing is the total manual that comes with this radio. You can find several places on the internet, and that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at the manual on the internet for the specifications, which should be usually in the back of the manual. Now, when I say this radio is a little complicated to use, what I mean by that is that it has all those options, but they're under a menu and sub-menu system. It's so easy to forget where things are that people have published little cheat sheets. I even saw a book that says that's about how to use this radio. So that's what I mean by complicated. Okay, here we go. It receives from 30 kilohertz, so that includes long wave, up to 200 megahertz, that whole band, and which includes the this is received now, which includes all the amateur HF bands, and that band includes the 2 meter HF band, which is around 145 megahertz. Also, this model, the G model, includes 400 to 470 megahertz receive, and the 70 centimeter ham band for transmitting and receiving. So it covers a lot of things. So it's a wide band receiver for HF. Covers everything in the HF spectrum. So it makes a good shortwave listening radio. Again, if you can pick up one of these used and you have some confidence that it's not the receive part has not been damaged, you can get a pretty good deal. So I just want to show you that. Like I say, I've forgotten really how to use this except for just using it as a receiver, and I've forgotten how to use all the sub modes and stuff like that. I need to do that because it does make an excellent receiver. So anyway, that's the show for today. If you enjoyed the show, please give me a thumbs up. Where's my thumb? Oh gosh, I'm still in Zoom mode. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.